Cindy Gentler is here with the Business Association to discuss the trans marketing.
Hi there.
Ladies, you come on over here, you can just
All right.
face the audience and face the council as well.
All right. Well, I'm Cindy Genther. I'm a member of the Rockwell Business Association, have been for 10 years. And the Rockwell Business Association has been a big supporter, as most of the folks in the town and the council have been, of the trams. And one of the things that we've observed over the course of the last year is that our revenues are not where we wanted them to be for advertising for the trams. We had projected revenues from the trams from advertising on the trams to be $17,000. They are falling about $10,000 short of that. The Business Association, Jim Rich, who is in Honeyfield and Java Rock, and I volunteered as part of the Business Association to look at how could we make a recommendation to improve our ad revenues for the trams. And we looked at it, we talked to some of the people who are currently advertising, who are not advertising and why they're not. And we came up with a recommendation. And that recommendation is basically that Jim and I have volunteered to sell advertising, because before we had it, the town actually, the town staff was responsible for the mechanics of the advertising program, meaning they would hand out ad forms. But nobody had the time on the town staff to actually go out and solicit for ads. Jim Rich and I decided that we would volunteer to solicit for advertising for the trams. And it's advertising for the trams, you should understand that covers the cost of running our trams. 15,000 people travel, or 15,000 fares travel those trams every year. And we didn't even realize it was as popular as it is, but it is. What I'm coming before the mayor and council today is to ask if Jim Rich and I can go out and solicit ads on behalf of the town for advertising revenues for the trams. We think we can generate enough ads and ad space in reservations to generate at least 6,000 the first year, and hopefully come up with at least 10,000 in preceding years. We think we can do that. We have pretty good support from a number of the local businesses so far, including a number of those that are run by mayor and council members and members of the audience here as well. And I think we just need a little bit more proactive promotion and advertising. I've put together a small brochure, and there are copies available there, or if anybody needs one in advance. We're asking the town, the mayor and council, to approve the brochure and to approve Jim, Rich, and I selling ad space on our trams, as has always been planned, so that we can use that revenue to offset the cost of operations of our trams. So we need I guess we need a mayor and council vote as to, can Jim and I go out and sell ad space for the trams, and may we use this little promotional piece that says it's a draft as of right now, but could we be approved to go out and use this to solicit advertising materials for, or advertisers for the trams? That's why I'm here.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
I guess I have one question, is if the town manager is in charge of the trams, how does that fall under?
Well, these people will be doing the soliciting for the advertising somewhere, which will be helping the town manager. So, I mean, he still has
Yeah.
overseeing
So he has oversight over them.
that,
Yeah.
over them.
And Susan, it's a good question, because in fact, one of the sections of this little brochure is how do you reserve your ad space? And it says that you select the ad space that you want, but then you call the town office to confirm the availability of that space. Okay? Jim and I have talked with Stephanie Lawler to make sure that this is acceptable to her. The monies will not come through our hands at all, they will only go into the town. So any revenues from ads and the advertising revenues go straight to the town, not to the business association or us.
It said the top panel, looking at the advertising, was that scaled back?
As far as the dates,
No, the advertisement that's on the top of the tram itself, I thought we had 5 on one side, 5 on the other.
we do. The photo doesn't reflect that because it might have been an early photo
Okay.
before they put the,
Bracket with the
right,
placement
before
on
they
the
put
side.
the placard or the supports up there.
Right.
But they do now, so it might be a good idea to get a new photo for the front of the brochure.
Right.
That has it on it.
Well,
Cindy, what he's referring to is the cost of the.
Well, actually, what
Oh.
what I was looking at, Cindy, is the number of spots. The top panel has 10.
Yes,
And I thought that, like I say, each side had 5 on one, 5 on the other.
yes, they do.
So that would be 20, right?
That should be. And, decline.
Or am I 3, 6? Oh, you're right. You know what? 10 on one, 10 on the other. number
You know
two.
what I think, I think the point is, I did 2 trams, so
Yeah.
I think it's just the way it's
I
shown
got
on
you.
the spreadsheet,
Okay, so
okay?
it's 10, okay.
It might be a little confusing because there are
So this
numbers.
is reflective of one tram, all the advertisement spots, and then
Right.
the amounts for each one of the spots,
Right.
and then, okay.
And you'll notice that, the top of the trams, the ad spaces, used to be $500. And we thought that was that was a bit prohibitive because the initial cost of getting your ad printed was about $200. And 500, 200, that's $700 for an initial ad. That might have been a bigger chunk than a lot of businesses were willing to.
Yeah, I agree. I think 300 is more.
So
friendly.
we thought we could get a lot more advertisers if we reduced the cost of the ad space.
I think it's gonna make that top signage more friendly,
Right.
at the cost.
Yeah,
Right.
that's another thing I don't,
Yeah.
What's that?
Some of this one here, well, when season passes for unlimited tourists.
Oh, we
Yeah, we mixed
You're
that.
right.
Yeah.
Good call.
we didn't wanna do that anymore.
That's
We thought
fine.
that- We
Yeah,
thought the
I think-
dollar per person was.
Yeah, we took
more
that,
than
we took
reasonable.
that.
That's fine. I will make sure I make that change.
And it simplified the.
This is why I came here, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Cindy, I don't think the town could pick 2 better people to do this myself, to advertise and move this forward. If we had to pick, full support, I know you both do a great job.
Well, thanks.
Glad
Thanks.
you
We're,
both took the incentive to step up and do that. I think the town
It's needed.
we
needs
think
that.
it's we think it's very important to our town. I'll just mention to you, I was showing property, I'm a real estate broker for those who don't know. I was showing property, this past weekend, and I had a buyer who looked at me and said, "Is this house on the tram route?" There is, the trams in this town are very important to us and to the livelihood of all of our businesses, and they're a real benefit. And whether people, and people who are not even residents here, who are visitors here, they really appreciate what these trams bring for us. So I would encourage y'all to.
Okay, well, I think, we'll just go down the line, I mean, I think everybody's very supportive of, and first of all, appreciative of the time you and Jim put into this. As Susan indicated, it's another element of making that thing successful, and yet we know how important it is to the businesses, as you
Yep.
stated, and and for them to really be able to prosper. So
Yeah.
this is good. We
Good.
appreciate your time, but I think everybody's in agreement to go ahead and let the city.
Other than
attorney-
15,000 people, it's gonna be increased because we still have about a month and a half before we come around to actually the end of the first fiscal year.
In fact, that's very true. The P&L shows that we've gotten 13,000 so far in this
Right.
fiscal year, and we still have
And we
until the
still
end
have.
of June to go, so I agree with
Memorial
you.
Day holidays, 2 or 3
Yep.
holidays that will fall.
So I think we're gonna have I think it's been a very, very, very popular, incentive for Rock Hall and to bring people here.
Yeah. So what are you and Jim planning on just going around to the businesses? Good.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, it helps us to get feedback from those businesses as well as to what we can do better as a business association.
So do you think maybe you guys could come in every now and then and just give us as well some of the feedback as to when you do speak with the businesses and
Mhm.
they tell you, you know, at
We'd
the
be
same
happy to.
time, what
Yep.
could be something that we could look at and improve?
Jim's
Yep.
here from time to time.
We're
Yeah.
good.
All right.
We'll be happy to do that.
Thank you much, Cindy.
I'll send Jim next time. Oh, we gotta vote, we're okay?
We're good. We're
Okay.
good, thank you.
Thank you, Jim, thank you too.
Yes.
All right. Next will be the website committee, and this is their report. Brian, you had in turn worked with the website committee, and if you want to go ahead and give us an overview as to where we are today.
Allow our chairman to come forward.
Okay.
Review the final report. I just would like to say that this has been a great group of volunteers that's come forward. Enjoyed working with them. And William's done an excellent job. I'm very proud of it.
Well, I don't speak up to you guys at all for years, and now I can't shut up for months now, so I'll give my final report, and you'll be done with me for a little bit. So, you all have received copies of our final report, and I just have a few comments on it, and then I'll be through it. Of course, the number one change is we altered our primary recommendation. We originally were recommending that we split the site in two, .com and .gov, and a KentCountyTakeover.com. We no longer think that this is actually a good idea. We still think you should split the sites, but now we think it should be bid out to a single vendor to redo both sites. We felt after talking to different stakeholders and players and people involved, that splitting it up and giving the tourism site to Kent County just had too many moving parts, too many fingers in the pie, too many ways it could break. And it's probably long-term better to keep it in-house. With the exception of the calendar, the county calendar, we'd still want to work with Kent County's calendar. And so events would still go to that, and we would just have a view to it. We made a few changes to our interim steps, and these are the steps that we recommend be done regardless of whatever else we do. We believe that there are some private sites on the rockhallmd.com domain, private businesses. We think that those should actually be removed, and they should be given to their own domain. And we believe that an email retention and access policy should be established, and we actually say in a report a framework of how this could be done. We had some additional concerns that we put in our report about email archiving, email retention. We thought it would be good to have the site be compatible with smartphones, so we have some more attention given to search engine optimization, and more tourism marketing ideas such as a harbor cam, or possibly being able to post videos or the live streaming from the clam house. So we also have an entirely new section on email fundamentals and how email works, and that ties into email archiving and email auditing and email policies that we think should be taken. And we've added appendices, a URL inventory of the current site, the CBIA memo where he proposed his own site redesign, and a back page if you were going to do an RFP for website requirements. This is an idea of what we think you could do for an RFP. It's in just basic single-page notes, what you think could be done for an RFP. So, I think I've pretty much covered all of the major change points that are in the report. But the primary being, we still split the site, but we bid out to one vendor to do both sites. So,
Talk about the focus group?
yes. We think that the town should meet with a focus group on possibly a monthly basis to ensure that the business directory is up to date and give the community a role in marketing strategy. And we think that this, we strongly suggest the council, that after a vendor is selected, that the design process is managed by the town manager and his staff. They in turn should convene this focus group with town stakeholders to solicit feedback. And the focus group should include at minimum the council communications liaison, at least one person with a technical background, 2 to 3 private citizens, a member of the museum committee, and one representative from each of the town's visitor-oriented business categories, lodging, marinas, restaurants, etc. So, before I put the final nail in the lid here, any final commentary?
I have a question. So I'm reading number 3, page 22. So are you suggesting 2 websites, one of a municipal or town website, government website, and one tourism-related website?
Yes.
Okay. Both maintained and paid for by the town?
Yes. But it could be bid out to a single vendor and maintained as it's a single entity. The domain really changes what you see when you go to the page. So if you approach it from rocklandv.gov, you get the government site with a link to the tourism side. If you go to the .com, you get the tourism site with a link to the government side. Really, if it's set up correctly, it's all just one entity in the back end. And what view you get is based on what domain you go to. But it's all there, all in the background, all accessible.
Okay. So would the let's call it tourism site, for lack of a better word, would that site look very much like, similar to what we have now with, because right now, it's basically that, and then there's a link to the government.
It'll look like however we decide to design. It could look similar to the way it looks now. There could be a whole new design. It's up to the vendor and the focus group. It's never been the committee's, part of the committee's mandate to make any decisions about a look and feel. We actually say very little about what it looks like. We just say how it should function, how it should work, and what it should provide.
I guess the only reason I was asking that is because I was reading about that it says that you're recommending a government website with a visitor tab. So I didn't really see where it was talking about 2 different websites.
You could also have a visitor site. Go to the visitor site and it has a government tab. And it's, what you see all depends on how you get to the site.
Right, I guess when I was reading this, I was thinking that your proposal was one website with a visitor tab being a municipal website. I wasn't reading it. Thank you for clarifying.
All right, well, we have technically completed our mandate. All of our meetings were open to the public, announced on the Rock Hall website a week in advance, and we have sought feedback on our draft report and presented at 2 public meetings. We've met with a variety of stakeholders and adjusted our report accordingly based on new information. Last week, we sent to the meeting minutes to the